Shalom everyone and Shavua Tov. Have a good week. We are in a special week, the week of Parashat BaMidbar. BaMidbar, we're starting to read a new book of the five books of Moses. And this is the book of Numbers, as it's called in English. But in Hebrew, it's called BaMidbar, which means in the desert. Why is it called the book of Numbers? Because it's very clear. Most of the book is talking about numbers. How many Israelites? How many Israelites of each tribe? The tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Reuben, and so on. And then how many of the Levites? And the numbers continue for the rest of the book. Very not interesting. So it's called, whoever does not really understand the Torah calls it the book of Numbers because it's full of numbers. But is that what this book is about? And it's all about, when we understand and study the Zohar, it's all about the energy that is in the universe right now, so we can understand what's in it for us. So let us explain what's in it for us in a basic language. First of all, the Hebrew calendar is made of years, and the years are starting in the fall. And Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's the beginning of the year. The whole period of the holidays, the high holidays of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, concludes with Simchat Torah. On that day, we finished reading the whole five books of Moses. In every synagogue around the world, we finished studying the whole five books of Moses, and we start all over from Genesis. So in Hebrew, when you want to say we're starting all over again, you say we're starting from Genesis. We להתחיל מבראשית. Okay, what does it mean? A new cycle starts. Every year is like a new reincarnation for each human being if you really want to understand the waves of energy in the universe and you want to serve them instead of being toppled by them. So how do we get it? We have to understand the weekly energy. And the first book, the book of Genesis, Bereshit, is like very important to understand. If you are starting a new year, a new cycle, a new reincarnation, that means you have to start to reenact the rules all over again because you're not the same person as you've been last year. Yeah, but I read the book of Genesis so many times in my life. I remember as a kid, you learn at the beginning of the whole five books of Moses, you starting in the beginning of elementary school. I'm saying in English, in Israel. Okay? And then a few years later, you start to learn the whole thing towards the end of elementary school. You start to learn the whole book all over again. And then in high school, you learn the whole book all over again. You're being tested for that to finish high school. So why do you have to study 3 times? Very simple. Your brain as a grader, first grader, is not as your brain as a 6th or 7th grader, or even in high school. You can't, the way you studied it or heard about it when you've been a little kid, of course it's not, and especially if you understand that these are the codes of how the universe is functioning. And that's what's important. So it's not just for 1st grade, 3rd grade, 5th grade, high school. Every year, all your life. If you really did a great job last year, you're a different person. You got a new movie. You have to relearn the rules because you're not the same person like last year, the year before. And if you didn't change, of course that you have to relearn the rules because you didn't get them last year. So Genesis, you will learn about Abraham, which is chesed, how to give, how to share. Because if you don't give, you don't share, and you don't care, you don't even start. You didn't even start your journey. That's why it says start always with the right foot. It's not that it's a bad omen if you got into the house or the business with the left foot. No, it means start with the consciousness of Abraham, with the energy of sharing. If you can't, create it. Then comes Isaac. Because if you can't really walk into something only with the right foot. If you're using only the right foot, you go in circles. You need Isaac. You need to learn also how to receive. You can't just be a giver. If you're just a giver, you're not God. Where are you going to get the energy to give from? You need to receive. You have to be a pipe. Okay? So you need Isaac. You need to learn how to receive. You need how to funnel it in. And then you have the energy of Jacob, which is how to balance between the two. That's the basic of every business, every relationship. Okay? Then comes Joseph. And Joseph is about how to manifest that in the physical world to physical success. Got it? Now go for your freedom. Declare freedom and go. And that's the book of Exodus about getting out of your Pharaoh, your physical body, all what's holding you back, your evil inclination, your narrow thinking. That's the book of Exodus. Okay? I'm saying it short. You can go to the past months and listen to each one of itself. And then after the finish of book of Exodus, we just finished the book of Leviticus. And the book of Leviticus in Hebrew, Vayikra, and he called. Now that you are free, you want to know where to go. You need to know what's your calling. And you have to make a refinement of your calling so you know who you are, what you are, so you get it more exact. So you basically do your job truthfully and you get more content about it. So what is this book about? The book of Numbers. Let us see. So the book starts with, of course, the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 1. וידבר אדוני אל משה במדבר סיני באוהל מועד, באחד לחודש השני, בשנה השנית, לצאתה מארץ מצרים לאמור. There's a very descriptive verse, long, full of addresses, which means, and it says, and God spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert, Be'oel Moed, in the tabernacle, which was the portable temple the Israelites had in the desert, on the first day of the second month, on the second year of their exodus from the land of Egypt. And how does it start? And each word that I just read means something in the code language of the Kabbalists. Verse 2, I'll explain the meanings soon, but verse 2, Se'u et rosh kol hadat bnei Israel. Now, the simple explanation of what I just read, which is that you ask everyone who speaks really Hebrew, means count the heads of the congregation of Israel to their households. Okay? According to their names, every male head by head. Okay? Kol zachar legulgelotam. Okay? Now, but if you really want to understand what it says, Se'u et rosh literally in Hebrew means raise the head of each one of them. Okay? Which means, simply, the Torah speaks for most of the book of Numbers is about the counting of the Israelites and how they camped in the desert, to the south, to the east, to the south, west, and so on. They were camping like a circle, 12 tribes around the camp. Each one has its own place. There were 3 tribes to the south, 3 to the north, 3 to the east, 3 to the west. And their camping site was really like the same angle every camping site. That also determined the way, the order they walk in the desert in their travels. So the question is, and that's the most important, what's in it for us? So let's read it quickly so we understand what's in it for us, and especially how understanding this parasha can affect every moment, every action in our lives, and the question if we are successful or not, blissful or not. And here it goes. The Zohar, in order to really interpret what's going on, the Zohar starts with a background. And the Zohar says, in the beginning, which means Genesis chapter 1, in order to understand what's going on in this book, we have to go back to the beginning, to chapter 1 in Genesis. And it says over there, and God created Adam in his image. And then the verse continues, in the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. And the Zohar says, why the repetition? And the Zohar says, Adam was created as a special being. It's a being with double faces in different levels. When it says that he created in his image, in his image he created him, why the repetition? Two levels, above and below. We know that we, the descendants of Adam, we are very unique creatures because we the only creature walking on earth that can unite the spiritual magical worlds together with the physical mundane worlds. We are the only ones who have that capability, and there's a warning. If we're not going to apply this capability, we are going to feel that we failed. Why? Because we cannot have anything achieved unless it's being achieved both in the spiritual and the physical world. Remember, in both dimensions, you need them both to be successful. And the whole Torah is about training our minds and consciousness and our heart to work on both dimensions. But it adds something else. Male and female, he created them, which means we learn from that Adam and Eve were created male and female in the same body. Later on in chapter 2, God separates Eve from Adam. But just a second, didn't it say that God created Eve from Adam's rib? That's a mistranslation. If you understand what it says simply, Adam was male and female. And the Talmud says he was two entities, a male and a female, as one, as androgynous. So what I say about the rib? If you know Hebrew, the word tsela does not necessarily mean rib. It means the side. God separated the male side from the female side. So every human being has two aspects. One, he is the epitome of that magic that can connect the upper spiritual world and the physical world. But you are a part. If we're talking about Adam, you're not complete without Eve. Then what happens, says the Zohar? Adam sinned. And what happened when Adam sinned? He crushed. He crushed and exploded into many, many, many pieces. Each one of us is a piece of that Adam, original Adam, which means, and that's what's important, we are, each one of us is complete only when we are connected to the other pieces of us. No one is complete. So in order to understand that, let's continue and we can elaborate on that. So the Zohar says, therefore, the world, when it was created in the beginning, the shock of the collapse, the fall of Adam, was so big that even his two sons, who Abel was more spiritual, he belonged to the upper worlds, and Cain was to the lower worlds, but that didn't work. Abel was murdered, Cain was killed later on, nothing came out of it. 130 years later, says the Torah, Adam gave birth to Seth. Why? Because in Hebrew, Shet, it's coming from the word tashtit, foundation. He was a foundation for the growth of humanity. Did that work? No, it was not enough. Humanity was still falling apart. Their consciousness was wrong. People were just busy, says the Zohar, with their own body needs. And the moment we're busy only with our body needs, we cannot be complete because we're missing the good half. Okay? So what happened? The world started to be completed, verse 5 in Rabbi Ashland's Sulam commentary on the Zohar, only when Abraham came. What did we say, Abraham? Abraham taught the world how to connect to the divine power of chesed, loving kindness. It's a force. It's a cosmic force. Like there are basic forces of nature, like in every atom, there's a proton, neutrons, and electrons. Same thing, the universe needs to have chesed, the loving kindness, gvura, which is the left judgment, and the central column, the balancing between the three. It's in the physical world because it is a manifestation of what's in the spiritual world. Newton revealed that in his writings, that whatever he wrote about the physical nature of this world, it's derived from the spiritual nature of the world, as it says in the book of Exodus. So said Newton. Okay? And he took it from the Zohar. So if the world agrees only on electron, protons, and neutrons, that's not enough. You're missing Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferet. The right, left, and center, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's consciousness of forces that every human being has to install inside himself to be functional, because we are not here as beasts. We are magical creatures, and our job is always to bring in another dimension of spirituality into everything we do. We don't do that, we'll always feel the lack. We'll always feel like we are being cheated. That I did everything I was told. Why is it that I'm not happy, not satisfied? What's wrong with me? So the world came to its completion only with Jacob bringing 12 sons to the world. Why 12? We already having, like, as we said, right, left, and center. Okay? Now, the four elements of the creation divided to right, left, and center, that's a structure of the 12 tribes. But only when they became a nation, says the Zohar, everything started to be established. And the word is like this. Still, the world has not been established. לא נשלם עד שקיבלו ישראל התורה בהר סיני והוקם המשכן. Till Mount Sinai revelation and the building, the construction of the tabernacle. Only then נתבשמו העולמות, העליונים והתחתונים. The verb נתבשמו is very special. It's being, if you know the feeling that, you know, you can eerie, upset, kind of stressful, whatever, and then you go out with the people you love to a nice place, or you go in, you're being invited to a very nice place, a lot of love around you. The food is pleasurable, and after you drink the first cup of wine, which is like really good wine, and you feel this kind of like, thank God. That's the verb להתבשם, נתבשמו. All the worlds above and below came to that place of kind of satiation and pleasing. The fact of being pleased only when the tabernacle has been established after Mount Sinai revelation. So here we have the secret of how do we reach to that place. So verse 7 teaches us, as the Torah and the tabernacle has been established, God wanted to count his armies. But every little kid can say, if God is the Almighty, does he need to outsource the counting? Doesn't he know in every given moment how many atoms are there in the universe? Of course he knows. But you have to read it with a spiritual state of mind. Sphira, we learn, could mean to count. But Sphira is also an illumination of light. It's not that God wanted to know how many Israelites are there. He knows every given time. He knows how many right now, this moment, how many butterflies in each kind are there in the universe, of course, because he's connected to each one of them. The moment he's not connected to one of them, poof, That creation of a butterfly, this exists, not disappear. This exists because every atom is in existence because it's drawing its existence from the essence of the creation, from the original light. So it says, come and see. כל דבר שצריך להתיישב במקומו, אינו מתיישב עד שנזכר בפה ונתמנה עליו. In order to connect something to its real original place, which is its shoresh, that's a word in Hebrew, in English, the source, from the upper world, you have to say it. You have to mention it. Every human being is a magical creature. By our sayings, we create the connection. The more we respect what we say and how we say, the more we put the imagination, which means to talk good, only good, and positive and optimistic, will create it to be good. Okay? So therefore, why Moses and Aaron had to go and count everyone? Couldn't they outsource it? And the answer is no. They had to do it because Sewet Rosh. They had to raise the head of each one. They had to go to each person and say, you know what? We're holding you accountable and you are being counted in because remember we spoke male and female and how it spread into many pieces? Without your light, we are not complete. Which means Parashat BaMidbar is always being read before Mount Sinai Revelation, the holiday of Shavuot. What was the holiday of Shavuot about? About the giving of the Torah. What was given? Wholesome. The light of immortality. How? One condition. It was when every person in the Israelite nation realized that he guarantees every other person that without my light, it will never happen. Without my light, no one else will be complete. And I take my responsibility to say the right words with the illuminated consciousness, to share my work with the illuminated consciousness, to understand that we are interdependent. Not just that we're dependent, we're interdependent. It's not a dependency, but I'm not a whole without the others. It's all about unity that is not uniformity. Each one of us is different. Each tribe is a different light illumination. Each family in that tribe is another illumination with that tribe, which means we can't have a functioning, satiated, happy community without recognition that every person has a proper right angle that I am missing. When I know that, that's a guarantee. When we create a society that will listen to each other, and we understand that two people can speak about two different aspects about the same thing, and it looks like one is wrong and one is not. No, it's different angles. That's called brainstorming. And the brainstorming is the base of success. Look around the world. Every society, as a nation or a company, is the more diversity and respect and unity and understanding you have among the people, the more success, the more creativity, the more innovation, the more flexibility, and the more good fortune. This is how you draw the blessing. This is how you draw good fortune into your life. And that's how the Zohar continues in verse 11. Come and see. Whoever praises his friend, whoever talks about the success of his friend, you have to learn from Moses. This is in Deuteronomy chapter 1. When Moses speaks to the Israelites, he said, God multiply you and you are so many as the stars. What is Zohar saying? Listen, Immediately later, Moses says, and God will multiply you 1,000 times. The moment you say something about your friend, wow, you're really good at this and this, you have to add, and I wish you 1,000 times more bliss and good fortune. Why do you have to do that? Because the Zohar says that we learn from Moses that if you want to draw bliss, you have to care to become a channel, a pipe for other people all the time. For this one and this one and this one. If everybody, can you imagine if you have a whole nation and everybody is just not just taking everyone around into account and just says a good word. You're good with that. You're good, Benny. I wish you that you're going to be even better. What happens? You're starting to draw the light of success and bliss and good fortune from the upper worlds to yourself, because you cannot give what you don't have, and then share it with another person. When you have Rabbi Ashlag, he say, the great commentator of the Zohar, when you have a whole nation that everybody feels that he has the back of his nation, no, we'll do whatever you need. You just do your own thing that you are special about, that we admire you, we bless you, because we know that your success is our success. Do you understand what does it mean? How careful we should be with what we say about ourselves, what we say about others. And the Zohar says, if you don't do that, if you just tell about somebody else's success and you do it with a kind of like, how come? The Zohar says, you're going to be caught first, because the moment you have this like internal wish to stop the flow for somebody else, you stop your flow. And that's why God wants the good heart, says the Zohar. Good eye, good heart. So whatever he needs is the love of the heart and the warmth of the heart. You want to have bliss, you always be busy to draw the bliss as your profession, to serve the people around you, to serve your family, your community, your job, your business, your clients, whoever is with you, and to serve your whole nation. And then, as a butterfly effect, that will serve the whole of humanity and the whole job of illuminating the world and coming to the Messianic age. This is the primordial. This is the first condition. And the moment you do that with a good heart and you add, and you really want everybody to be successful, and you say it, and you watch your mouth, never to be bitter, never to be negative, never to try to hurt with your words, only to lift up, to raise everybody's head, then guaranteed, you're going to find how the world is starting to shine to you, and the bliss and good fortune is going to flow in your everyday life. Thank you so much, and have a great week, a great time, and we'll see you soon all over again.